Star Wars The Clone Wars can't math. Let me explain. So any movie or show you've ever watched has their fair share of mistakes, and those can vary depending on what kind of mistakes they are. It could be a boom mic, or a camera blatantly in frame, a Starbucks cup in a medieval fantasy, there could be problems with the writing, or even making a movie in general, or it could be some sort of graphical error, which is pretty common in a lot of animated shows and movies. And The Clone Wars is no exception to that. They definitely have some graphical mistakes, but that's still not what I'm here to talk to you guys about. I'm not talking about those in this video. But if I were to. When we see Commander Bly for the first time, his visor's up, but in the next shot, it's down, and then in the shot after, it's not even there. Oh cool, we get to see Denal in this episode. That's sick, I love his designs. Oh, I guess he's not in this episode. Hey look, it's Boyle about to sit next to Obi-Wan. Oh wait, I guess that's just a normal clone. This Commander droid right here doesn't have his backpack thing, but in the next shot he does. Then the next shot he doesn't. Then the next shot he does again. Then oh my god, they cannot decide if he had it or not. Hey, why aren't the Aqua droids shooting at Echo and Fives? Oh, there they go. Hey, what the hell is Commander Colt from the Rancor Battalion doing at the Citadel? That's weird. Okay, I don't know if this is a true mistake, but seeing Commander Cody without his visor makes him look naked and also reminds me of the Lego version of him, which just makes me uncomfortable. But again, that's not what this video is about. No, today we're talking about Clone Wars' problem with math, specifically this simple equation that I've made, A minus B equals C, where A stands for the number of people at the beginning of the episode, whether that be clones, droids, Jedi, etc. B being the amount of people who died in the episode, and C being the amount of people remaining at the end of the episode. My main issue is that C is overwhelmingly wrong in this show. So we're going to look at 3 specific episodes/arcs where this happens, and I will tell you that each one we cover is going to get progressively worse in its mathematical inaccuracy. And if you still don't quite get what I mean with this video, let's just get into the first one and I think you'll figure it out pretty quickly. Alright, so let me set the stage. Cad Bane just stole a holocron and also killed Master Ropal, and Anakin and Ahsoka are on his ship trying to capture him. Rex bonks his head like the silly boy that he is, and they see Bane and chase him into this big open room.
Welcome, Jedi. We've been expecting you.
Now here's where it all begins. Let's take a look at who all we have here. Coming into this room, we have Anakin, Ahsoka, Rex, R2, and 5 regular troopers. I want you to specifically focus on those 5 clones, and let me also point out that the door closes here. That will be important later. But anyway, right off the bat, the battle commences and Bane turns off the gravity, and immediately we are hit with our first graphical error, which is a complete mindfuck of what I'm trying to do here. Denal is here. For those of you who don't know, he's the clone with these blue markings, and he makes a few appearances in the first couple seasons. But was he in the starting lineup when they entered the room? No, he wasn't. Also, the first time he talks, he starts his sentence as Denal, but finishes it as a normal clone.
Magnetics, you were trained for this!
So there's a few routes we could take here in our analysis of this scene. Either we could say that he was always supposed to be there and they just forgot to include him in the first shot, meaning there would be 5 clones and Denal. That's option 1. Option 2 is that he's supposed to be one of those 5, and they just forgot to add his markings in those first initial shots. I will tell you though, whatever option we take, it's not going to matter. But for now, I'm going to go with option 1 and say that he was always supposed to be there along with 5 other troopers in this scene. That's what I'm going to go with for now. So the battle continues and we start to see some deaths. Bane shoots this one clone in the back because apparently that clone missed anti-gravity training because he was floating around like an idiot, and it brings the total number of clones from 5 to 4.
Magnetics, you were trained for this!
Then Bane goes and kills an additional 2 troopers, and I looked kind of closely. It's possible that first clone might have lived because it looked like they were maybe shoulder shots, but the second one is definitely dead. So I'm just going to say they both died, which brings the number down to 2 remaining. However, this shot a few moments later paints an interesting picture. Here we see 2 clones still in the fight, 2 dead, and Bane killing a 3rd one, which is already a problem within itself. Unless Bane was shooting a clone that was already dead, there should only be 2 remaining. Also, side note, I think it's kind of funny that that one clone who died has the exact same death animation as the one from before. Just thought that was funny. But the other problem with the shot is that the turret clone is still on the ceiling. During the anti-gravity scenes, they deliberately show that clone going to the ceiling, and we have not seen him fall yet. So while I said there's 1 too many clones still alive in this shot, if you count the turret guy on the ceiling, there's actually 2 too many still alive at this point. And like I mentioned at the start, the doors seem to have been closed this entire time, meaning no additional clones have come to help. Yes, there were more clones on the ship, these weren't the only ones, but I'm going to treat it like an off-screen death. If I don't see the person die, they're not dead. So in this case, if I didn't see any more clones come to help, Then no more clones came to help. Then Bane escapes through the door, which, by the way, clones, what the hell are you doing? He just ran past you guys. Why didn't any of you try to stop him? I guess the turret guy tried to stop him, so, you know, kudos to you, but what are you guys doing? Then when Anakin tries to follow Bane, we get this shot where we still see two clones on the right, one of them with the worst aim I've ever seen. Like, what are you, a stormtrooper? They're right there. What are you shooting at? And then we see the turret guy in the middle, and then we do see some blue blaster bolts coming from the right side, which I could probably assume is either Rex, Denal, or another trooper, which no matter what, still makes the math so inconsistent. Then the droid trips and shoots the explosives, and the whole room blows up, and after it shows Rex and the clones, 2 to be exact. No Denal in sight, but I'll let that slide because it's not that wide of a shot, so it's possible Denal was just right off screen. I'm not sure, but I'll let that slide, I guess. And then in the final shot, we see the squad return to the hangar, where it's Rex, Denal, and 3 regular troopers. Oh boy. I'm not even going to talk about the amount of clones that go into this ship, and then we see the ship land and there's only like 2 clones left. I'm not even going to do the math there. That's for another day. So the final tallies are as followed. 5 clones went into the battle, 4 of them died, and 3 of them made it out. And if you throw Denal into the mix, it creates a whole cluster. Denal does unfortunately die in this episode though, so rest in peace. Should have set for stun, man. Should have set for stun. But if you thought that was bad, just wait till we get to the next ones. Hey, so just a quick side note really quick. I know some of you might be commenting on the fact that I'm wearing a Rise of Skywalker t-shirt, and I just want to make it known, I'm not a sequel fan, okay? I hate the sequels. This just happens to be the only Star Wars shirt I own. It was a gift, and it's also really comfy. I just wanted to get into the Star Wars mood. Don't get mad at me. All right, anyway, back to the video. So this episode is technically not as bad as the last one, but I have a personal hatred towards it because this was the episode where I first noticed the mathematical inaccuracy. I like how I try to sound smart by saying mathematical. It's just counting. That's all it is. But this was also the episode where I found out I have a certain fascination when it comes to shows like these. And I call it the ERSGP, or the Expendable Red Shirt Guy phenomenon. And if you guys don't know what that is, that's good, because I just made it up. But let me change franchises really quick and talk about Star Trek for a minute. Because in the old Star Trek shows and movies, there was a common phenomenon where whenever the main characters went on a mission, they almost always brought 1 or 2 unnamed crewmates in red shirts. And they almost always died. They were the cannon fodder that the writers could use so that they could have some stakes while not having to kill off a main character every episode. Otherwise, that'd be a pretty damn short show. And my 9-year-old self noticed that same writing in the Clone Wars. Every time there was a mission with regular unmarked troopers, they were always the first to go. Every time. And I, for some reason, got hyper fixated on those specific clone extras, those expendable clones. I don't really know why. Maybe it was because at the time I only had one of these regular Lego clone troopers, so I wanted him to have more depth. Or maybe I related to those extras because sometimes I don't feel like I'm the main character of my own story. Jesus, that was dark. I should go talk to someone about that. Anyway, besides the point. But like when I watched episodes like this, I just knew these 3 clones were doomed from the start. Hey, what do you know? Okay, so we've got 3 main characters and 3 extra clones. I wonder what's gonna happen. Oh my god. Wow, I did not see that coming. I'm shocked. It was this episode though where my hyperfixation of this phenomenon got the better of me because I finally started seeing the mistakes. So let's jump into it. When the gunship first arrives, you can very clearly see 7 212 troopers exiting the ship. Like the last episode, I'm not really counting Cody, just the expendable clones. But there are multiple shots in the beginning of this episode that highlight the fact that there are only 7 of these troopers, both inside and outside of the catacombs. But then they run into the ugly zombie bugs that gave me nightmares when I was a kid, and the first fight breaks out. Now, with the close quarters of the catacombs and it being dark, it was a little hard to see how many of them there were in these shots, but we do very clearly see 2 of them get taken away, which I can only assume means they died. Also, I'm gonna wait until the last arc, but we need to talk about Obi-Wan a little bit later. Just a side note. Anyway, Obi-Wan tells everyone to retreat, and in this next shot, we only see 3 regular troopers. And then in the next shot, we also only see 3 troopers escape into the tunnel. I do feel like I have to go door on you guys a bit, you know? So we saw 7 troops enter the tunnel, and 2 of them died. Can you tell me how many troops we should have left? Yes, 5. Except in this case, we only have 3. Now keep in mind too that these catacombs are simply tunnels, meaning there's nowhere else where these 2 missing clones could be. You could maybe say they're behind the camera in this shot, but then in the next shot they show that not to be true. But here's where it gets interesting. Obi-Wan tells these 2 clones to go back up to the surface to call for help, and when it cuts to the clones, there's now 6 of them. Okay, where were the two of you that came with us at the beginning? Where have you been? Also, who the fuck is this sixth man? Where did you come from? See, this is where I want to say again that technically this episode isn't as bad as the last one, but the episode is a lot more focused, which makes the math inconsistencies a lot more prominent, at least to me. The other reason I hate this episode is technically the math does work out in the end. See, if you look at my equation here and take the full episode into account, the math checks out. C is correct here, but if you go scene by scene, that's where it all goes downhill. Anyway, so regardless of the extra man now being there, the two clones that head up to the surface end up getting killed, bringing the total death count to 4. And then the next shot here actually complies with the math, showing only 3 clones, like it should. Math is mathing. However, then they revert back to their old ways by showing 4 again. Seriously, where is this mystery man coming from? He clearly was not with them in the last shot. Anyway, after they rescue Luminara and go to escape, the number of clones suddenly drops down to 2. So you can clearly see one run by, then all the main characters, and then there's one more right here. As to what happened to the third guy and the mystery man, the world may never know. At least until a few shots later. When the catacombs cave in and all the main characters get shot up into the sky with a huge dust cloud, I have never felt like a bigger nerd doing this, but if you go super slow-mo, you can see Commander Cody right here, 1 clone on the right, and 1 clone on the left. And then out of nowhere, the third one pops up. Is this the third clone who suddenly disappeared in the last battle, or is it the mystery clone who's been popping up throughout this entire episode? I guess we'll never know. But the episode ends with 3 212th troopers running away and surviving the whole ordeal. You can clearly see all 3 of them right here. So this is what I meant before. From a technical standpoint, the math does work. 7 went in, 4 died, 3 lived. That works. The problem though, of course, was that within the episode, there were times where there were more clones than there should have been. So if you thought that episode was bad or the one before it, just wait till we get to the last one. But before we do, it's time for some honorable mentions. Yes, sir. These are some moments from episodes that I feel don't need a full analysis, but are worth talking about because they do more or less deal with the concept of math, or rather the errors of math. So first off, in the Shadow of Malevolence, Matchstick's ship I can't say that fucking word, bro. Matchstick ship oh my god. Matchstick ship explodes and crashes into another ship. And then Ahsoka says this.
We lost Matchstick and Tag. Shadow 6, 7, and 10 were caught in the ray.
Now, nothing she says here is necessarily wrong, but if you're a nerd like me and knows anything about these ships, or have been looking at the shots I've been showing, these are 2-seater ships. There's the pilot seat and then there's the gunner seat. And in this shot, you can clearly tell that both are filled. So why, yes, we lost Matchstick. I can't say his fucking name, dude. I can't say it. Matchstick? So while yes, we lost Matchstick and Tag, what about the other 2 unnamed clones that also died, man? Come on. Can we get an 07 in the comments for our fallen unnamed troopers? Like, dude. The next honorable mention is on Umbara when the walkers jump out of the gunships. I just kind of find it funny that they show like 6 gunships and then show that there's 1 walker per gunship, but then out of nowhere, they show like 100 walkers. Like, bruh, I know there's probably waves of gunships that showed up, like there were more than 6, but to have a shot showing 3 walkers, then it cuts away, and when it cuts back, there's like 50. Like, I just think that's hilarious to me. Also, on Umbara, there's a scene where Krell says this.
We will attack them with all our troops, not some sneak attack with a few men.
And then they proceed to show like a dozen clones tops. Now I know it'd probably be busy to show like hundreds of clones walking down that road. It'd be really busy in the shot. But then they literally go out and do that in the next episode. And we saw the amount of walkers that showed up at the beginning of the episode, so there should be a fuck ton more here. Also, Krell said all of their troops, so why are these guys hanging back with you? It's not like you need protection. Also,
Feeble-minded clones, get in there and save their necks.
Just 2 clones and a walker are not gonna save their necks, as you put so eloquently, dude. Like, bro. Then the last honorable mention is in season 6 when Rex, Fives, and Anakin go to save Tup, and Rex says this.
There must be 100 droids in that hangar, not to mention the starfighters. This is stretching it even for you, sir.
Okay, I get it. He didn't have the greatest line of sight, but come on, Rex, your math is way off. I hate that you made me go as nerdy as I'm about to go, but if you count, there's like 15 rows or so going that way, and then there's about 15 droids per row, and there's about 4 different sections of those 15 rows. So when you add those up, it's not even close to 100, it's more like 1,000.
More like 1,000.
So Rex, I'm sorry man, but please learn how to count. Alright, now on to the final episode, which is the worst out of the three for two main reasons. Reason one is because it takes place over the entire arc, 3 full episodes. The other reason is that there are 3 different groups that have mathematical inaccuracies in this arc. There's me trying to sound smart again. Now, it's kind of ironic that this is the worst one because it also happens to be one of my favorite arcs in the entire show. Which, by the way, side note, I just wanted to make something clear really fast. This is all in good fun. I actually really enjoy the show. It's honestly one of my favorite shows of all time. And if I've learned anything about myself, it's that I tend to make fun of movies or shows more, the more I like them. So I don't want you thinking I'm hating on the show at all. I truly do love it. I was reading some comments on the open season video, which by the way, if you haven't seen that, you should go check it out. It's a ton of fun. But I saw some people thought I was truthfully and actively hating on the franchise, which I just want to make clear is not true at all. Except maybe for Alistair. Fuck that guy. I will only make videos about movies and shows that I enjoy, even if I'm ripping it to shreds. Again, it's all in good fun, at least for me. I really hope I don't offend people with my takes or have people think I'm genuinely hating on something. I mean, I know I can't please everybody, but I just wanted to make that known to you guys. Also, another side note, just know that my first language is and will forever be sarcasm. So just be aware of that going forward. Anyway, let's get back to the video. The Citadel. Now, once again, our main focus as of right now is going to be on the 212th Troopers. And it's a little hard to tell how many of them there are until we get to this first scene where we can clearly see there are 3 of them. However, shortly after the scene, this happens.
The walls are electrified. Go, 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 go! Long shot!
We must keep moving.
Okay, so see, this is what I was alluding to earlier about Obi-Wan. Man does not care about clones at all. Now, I know the joke's been thrown around a lot about how Yoda and Obi-Wan kill all the clones in Revenge of the Sith without blinking an eye, but man, there's also a lot of times in the Clone Wars where he doesn't give a shit about them. Granted, not every time, but in the last episode when his men were taken away, he kind of just goes, ah, damn, dude, that sucks. If only I had a magical power that could bring something closer to me. Then when Charger dies, he's like,
Well, they know we're here.
ah, damn, if only I had a magical power that could bring something closer to me. And then with Longshot dying, he just goes,
We must keep moving.
like, brother, check if he's alive. And I know him being alive is probably a long shot. I'm sorry. But literally in the same episode later, Anakin gets electrocuted by what looks like the same electricity, and he's fine. Do you know how many times in Star Wars people get electrocuted and they're fine? You didn't even check on them. You just said, we must move on. Like, bro. Also, it's kind of funny when you think back on that Geonosis episode, the entire plot is them going into the catacombs to rescue Luminara, but when those first 2 clones get taken away, they're clearly still alive, but the Jedi just don't give a shit to go back and try to rescue them. It's all about Luminara. Anyway, continuing on, the math actually checks out. There were 3 212 troopers at the start, and now there's only 2. The math is mathing, and the math will continue to math for the rest of the episode. It's a lot of math. Then the group rescues Master Peel and the other officers, and that's when we are introduced to the second math problem. It's a bit hard to see in these shots, but there ends up being a total of 5 clone officers / troopers. There are 3 without armor, 1 with a light gray getup, and 1 with a dark gray / black getup. Or I guess the headset guy. We'll call him the headset guy. Now, like the 212 troopers, the math actually checks out for these characters for the rest of the episode, except for one little tiny detail. When they first rescue them, there are clearly 2 bald clones with no armor. Actually, if you want to get even more technical, when they first show them, one of them's bald and one of them has a buzz cut, and then in the next shot they're both bald, but whatever. But when Anakin and Obi-Wan split into their groups, Obi-Wan takes one of the bald clones with no armor, the light gray guy, and the headset guy, while Anakin takes the other 2 clones with no armor, except both of them have hair. So my conclusion to that is simply that the math isn't wrong, but that one of the bald guys ended up growing hair really fast, and is just one of these dudes. I mean, they're clones, they age fast, maybe their hair ages fast too, I don't know. But if that is the case, man, that sucks for Rex. Poor guy, he's got to cut his hair every day. Anyway, so like I said, besides a few hiccups, the math was fine this episode. It's just laying the groundwork of what's going to happen next, because I will tell you, it's the next episode where everything unravels. At the beginning of the next episode, one of the 212 troopers dies in arguably one of the most gruesome deaths in the entire show. Like, he's dead.
Security doors, move or you'll be cut in half!
I can't!
Longshot maybe could have survived his death, but this guy is dead. Well, I guess Maul lived after being cut in half, but yeah, whatever. Besides the point, he's dead. Anyway, the next time we see this group, the one bald clone with no armor now has hair, which is just again proving my theory that hair grows fast on clones. But they try and head out to the landing pad. And before I get into the math here, I do want to point out one other problem I have with this scene. When they traverse down the tower, Obi-Wan goes first, and then it cuts to Cody signaling to Peel to go next, which Peel does. However, when Peel gets to the bottom, he's the last one down. which makes no sense. But making even less sense is there are now two 212 troopers. We established very clearly in the first episode that there were three. Longshot died with the electrocuted wall, second guy got cut in half. Master Peel even confirms this by saying,
"We lost one. Looks like we've got some cutting to do."
so how are there two alive here? My first theory was that maybe one of the unarmored clones put on the armor of the guy who got cut in half, but all of the unarmored clones and officers are accounted for right here. Which, by the way, side note, dude, why are you so scared? You got so much room there, chill. Anyway, then Obi-Wan's group gets captured and taken to the weird leader guy, and for some reason, the light gray getup guy and the headset guy are nowhere to be found. There's just this guy. Now, I might understand that you don't want to busy up a scene or a shot with all those extra characters, but with someone like me watching, you can't do that shit. I pay attention to those types of characters, especially the ones who aren't there when they should be.
This is war, Sobek. We're all prepared to die to protect that intel.
Really?
Oh no, I'm so sad at the death of the clone who shouldn't even be there. Anyway, once they get taken away, the light gray guy and the headset guy shows back up, but now the unarmored clone's gone. What is this? Why are you messing with my head? Especially since the literal next shot of R2 saving them shows the unarmored guy again, with the other two nowhere to be found. Hey, there's that graphical error where it's Commander Colt instead of Fives or Echo. That's funny. Now, thankfully, when Obi-Wan's team gets to the ship, everything is as it should be, minus the fact that this clone should not exist right now. But it's this battle where we are introduced to our third and final math problem. The droids. As you guys might remember, R2 has these three droids that have been following him around. And in this battle, one of them gets shot, and it looks pretty conclusive that this droid is dead. However, in the final episode, they still show three. So either R2 saved that droid off screen, or the math is simply wrong. And you guys know how I feel about things happening off screen. If I didn't see it happen, it didn't happen. So the math is wrong. Then Echo dies, rest in peace, kinda, not really. And then we get to the final episode where it all just gets messy. First off, they show this wide shot of all the characters running away. And Clone Wars, you should know you can't give me all these wide shots of all the characters, because I'll point out when it's wrong. And in this case, it's wrong. Like we established before, one of the groups we're focusing on is the 5 officer/unarmored clones. There are 5 of them in total, and none of them have died yet. But in this shot, I only see 2 of them. I mean, I can explore it more and prove it. This is Master Peel, this is Obi-Wan, Anakin, Ahsoka, Rex, Cody, Tarkin, Fives, Unarmored Clone 1, Unarmored Clone 2, the 212 Trooper that shouldn't even be there, R2, and then the 3 droids, one of which should also not be there. So there are clearly 3 officer/unarmored clones that are not accounted for. I'm just saying. On a more positive note, I do have to give credit to Cody for doing that badass move that one 212 Trooper did to the Crab droid in Revenge of the Sith. That's awesome. That's cool. Then we see the 3 droids die, which, by the way, they're kind of just sitting here not shooting. I think they forgot to animate them here, but anyway, they all die, so the whole math thing was kind of for nothing, but whatever. It was still wrong. Also, the 212 Trooper and one of the unarmored clones die, so kind of like the droids, the 212 math didn't really matter either, but you know, whatever. Also, side note, how and when did they get this blaster? Like, clearly no one had it before this episode, and now they suddenly have it. And there's no shot that shit just fits in one of their bags, but whatever. So the rest of the episode does check out more or less as far as the math goes, with a few little things here and there. Like, for example, there's this random wide shot where half the characters just aren't there. Like no Cody, no Fives, none of the other clones. There's also these shots later that do the exact same thing. Like in the first shot, they show everyone, but in the next ones, half of them are gone. Like, where is everybody? But one of the unarmored clone dies, as well as the light gray clone, which leaves just one unarmored clone and the headset guy, which is what we see near the end of the episode. That all checks out. So like the Geonosis episode, the math does work itself out in the end, actually making the first episode the worst in terms of the final result if you base it on the equation that I introduced at the beginning of this video. But this one was definitely guilty of having the most amount of problems. So there you go. Clone Wars can't math. That's it. That's all I got. Video's over. You might be wondering if I have OCD or something, and I will tell you that I have not been medically diagnosed with that. Yet. Hey guys, really hope you enjoyed the video. I had a ton of fun making it. If you happen to find my findings wrong, like I missed something in the episode to prove their math is right, feel free to let me know. Also, if there are any other episodes or moments in the show that does the same thing as these ones did, let me know that. I'd love to hear them. Or even other shows or movies. I do have another movie in mind where I know this type of thing happens, so if you guys like this video and want me to do this again, feel free to comment down below. Anyways, that's it for me, but if you want to see more, YouTube thinks you'll like this one. Oh yeah, that's a good one. You guys should definitely go watch that. Alright guys, have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video.